I'm strong in faith.
Faith can move mountains. Radio Maria 91.3 FM.
The voice of truth.
Good evening, Abuja, and good evening to everyone listening in from outside Abuja. It's another beautiful Thursday, and you're welcome to this week's package of Healthier You on Radio Maria 91.3 FM, the voice of truth. I am Stephanie, and with me in the studio is
Ekene, and it's the end of the month, and we know what that translates to. It's salary week. Stephanie, how will they enjoy now?
the salary week you're talking about. When you're talking about salary, some people have received last week, and that day it's gone. So when you're talking about salary week, it's gone.
And I believe that we're all currently smiling to the bank, and as salary don't show, make we try and enjoy small, spoil ourselves small as the hustle continues. Welcome to today's show, and we hope you have a nice time with us today.
Okay, on today's program, we'll be talking about something very important as regarding especially our youths. Ekene, you know the way it is these days, there are a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong. And there are some topics that can never be overstretched, can never be overflogged. And just yesterday here, we had the World Drug Day, and a lot of, on the news, it was just all about NDLEA, what they're doing, what are the authorities doing, and all that. So we deemed it necessary today to actually bring this topic to you. And today we're talking about prevention of drugs or substances of abuse. According to the World Drug Report 2021, patterns in drug use are determined by a plethora of factors related to individual, family, community, and environmental characteristics, as well as by the effect of national and local policies. In 2019, an estimated 275 million people globally between the ages of 15 to 64, or 1 in every 18 people in that age group, had used drugs at least once in the previous year. When we mean drugs, we mean like substances of abuse and all that. This tallies to 5.5% of the global population aged 15 to 64. You see, that's a very large range, you know. Of this estimated 275 million past year users of any drug, about 36.3 million, or almost 13%, are projected to suffer from drug use disorders. This means that their drug use is harmful to the point where they may experience drug dependence and or require treatment. This corresponds to a prevalence of drug use disorders of 0.7% globally among the population aged 15 to 64. Okay, when we're looking at this age, you're seeing what we're talking about. It is something very, very serious.
And these actually can go beyond these ages, because
Yes.
I mean, nowadays in the secondary school and all the peer pressure and all of that, it could actually go
terrible.
lower than that.
So from these figures, they are not just figures that we pick from tables and just write down. These are research statistics from people actually who have used it. And yes, they are correct figures. So you can see how alarming exactly it is. Quoting further from the World Drug Report of 2021, over the last 10 years, there has been an increase in the substances available on the drug markets. In addition to traditional plant-based substances, which include cannabis, cocaine, and heroin, the last decade has seen the expansion of a dynamic market for synthetic drugs and of the non-medical use of pharmaceutical drugs. Drugs are more potent nowadays, and their increasing availability and sequential use among occasional or regular users pose an even greater challenge than in the past to the prevention of drug use, treatment of drug use disorders, and addressing the adverse health consequences thereof. This is
very important to talk about. Today we're discussing the prevention of drug abuse, and we're joined in the studio by Ambassador Yvonne Iyado Ikede. She is a pharmacist with 16 years of professional experience, and she's passionate about drug and substance abuse prevention. She's a member of the U.S. International Visitors Leadership Program alumni, and is the U.S. Nigerian Educational and Cultural Leadership Program Alumni Association, which for short is U.S. Nigeria-Abuja. Can we meet you, please?
Thank you very much. Like you said, I'm Yvonne Iyado Ikede. You can call me Iyado. I'm glad to be here because drug abuse is a global epidemic, and prevention is a key intervention. We just have to keep talking. Thank you.
As she said, we just have to keep talking because the burden of drug abuse in our society cannot be overemphasized.
It cannot just even be left for just the authorities.
Yes.
It has a lot of talking, because there are a lot of things people don't even know that they do. There are a lot of things they take that they don't even know that they are actually abusing substances.
We'll be going on a short break now. When we come back after the break, pharmacist Ekene Yvonne would help us to do justice to the topic of the day, which is prevention of drug abuse. This is still Healthier You on Radio Maria 91.3 FM, the voice of truth.
And when we come back from the break, our phone lines will be open into 30 minutes of the program for you to send in your contributions, your concerns, your experiences. I know a lot of people out there, especially as regards the youths. Call us in. Let us hear your experiences. Let us hear your contributions so that other people can also learn from it. And the phone line still remains 081 084 475 18. I repeat, 081 084 475 18. And also the program will be live on YouTube like we usually do. So just go to Radio Maria,
Nigeria-Abuja.
Welcome back to Healthier You on Radio Maria 91.3 FM, the voice of truth. If you're just joining us, today we shall be talking about prevention of drug abuse with our guest, Ambassador Yvonne Ikede. She is a pharmacist with 16 years of professional experience. She's passionate about drug and substance abuse prevention. She is an alumni of the U.S. International Visitors Leadership Program. She's also into the U.S. Nigeria Educational and Cultural Leadership Program. So she has a vast knowledge on drug abuse. And so please, if you're just joining us again, we have said that the phone lines will be open, and we'll need your contributions, your experiences, whatever that other people can learn from out there, because this is actually a discussion program between us and the listeners.
So, fam, are we ready? Are you ready for us?
Sure.
Okay, so let's get down to it. Now we're talking about prevention of drug or substance abuse. So I think it's very imperative that we start with understanding what drug abuse is. So could you kindly define what drug abuse is?
Yes, we can define drug abuse as a wide range of behaviors ranging from the inappropriate use of medicines, that is misuse, to the deliberate use of the illicit drugs like cannabis, as Indian hemp, heroin, LSD, and so on. And you know, when we talk about illicit drugs, those are not medicines that are used in treatment. No, they are not meant to be found in the hospitals, or, you know, and some of them are for industrial use. We have different schedules, like Schedule 1, they are the most potent and highly addictive substances, like heroin and LSD. And drug abuse, like we've been saying, is a global problem. Apart from those illicit drugs, some people are misusing the licit drugs, the licit medicines, like diazepam, which is a pharmaceutical product used as a sedative when prescribed appropriately. Some people are misusing these, taking them at doses not prescribed in medicine, and the impact is overwhelming. The dangers, to the health of the individuals concerned, to their careers. And when we talk about young users, some of them end up as dropouts. The implications are serious.
So, well, in your definition, I picked up that there is drug misuse and there is drug abuse. Please, could you kindly elaborate on that? What is the difference between drug misuse and drug abuse?
Okay, so drug misuse, the substance involved, the drug involved is the drugs you see in the pharmacy store, like tramadol tablets. When prescribed by the physician, it's in order. The dose is clearly stated, and you can't even buy it without a prescription because it's a prescription medicine. So the drugs misused here are prescription medicines, but somehow some people get access to them without prescription, without sometimes not even from a pharmacy store, and they're using them in doses nobody knows about to get high, and sometimes they are mixed with drinks, tramadol tablets. We have codeine containing syrups. Someone just opens a bottle and ingests all the content at once, and there are all kinds of casualties we've heard of with these things too.
Wow.
And then you talked about the other one, drug abuse now. When you talk about illicit drugs, those are not drugs used in the usual medical treatments. We're talking about heroin, LSD. These are not found in any pharmacy for prescription. We have others in Schedule 2 like cocaine, amphetamine, dexamphetamine, and Schedule 3 we have the benzodiazepines, or rather flunitrazepam. This was one of the drugs that was used in a rape case, a very popular rape case, whereby a lady's drink was drugged with an excess dosing of flunitrazepam tablet, and she was raped and she ended up dead. Cynthia,
Oh yeah, that was a popular case at some point.
flunitrazepam, by the trade name Rohypnol. Even pentazocine is in the Schedule 3. And then we now come down to Schedule 4, the benzodiazepines like diazepam, that's the trade name Valium. Those ones are sedatives. Sometimes they're prescribed, of course. For instance, someone has a high blood pressure, can't sleep. The physician may give you a prescription for 3 days only at, of course, a stated dose, and you can't buy it without the prescription. So if you're prescribed 5 milligram at night, 3 days, why would somebody else go and be consuming 10 milligram every day? You can imagine, it can sedate you to death. So this is how dangerous this sedatives.
These things are really alarming, and people just really take them for granted. Okay,
Yeah.
but most times people just do these things out of, I don't know if it's ignorance, but some is not just out of ignorance. Some is out of euphoria. They want to just have that euphoric feeling that
Being away
I'm
from
high
reality
there.
and all of that.
Depression, and there are a lot of things that actually start up this. At times it's just the pressure. Okay,
Peer pressure.
yeah, my friends are doing this, I want to do that,
And sometimes it's just an escape from reality.
Yes.
I mean, the life as we know it is hard,
Yes.
and even more in the current situation where a lot of things seem to be not to be going so well.
Sure.
So people try to escape from reality, and they need that ecstasy and stuff.
And that is why they keep abusing that drug, because they feel that the drug just takes them away from the reality. By the time their eye gets clear, they want to take it again. We have the stages of addiction, and they just want to take it again and again and again and again.
And then they can't stop.
They can't
At a
stop.
point, they need help.
We have 3 stages. I think in this studio, in this show.
Yeah, these are second show on
On drug abuse actually. The first time when we talked about the intoxication stage, the binge stage, and all that, we talked about the withdrawal stage, and at that point, okay, I want to get it again. So the thing is, don't even start.
Don't start.
Don't even start, because once you start, it
You can't
takes
stop.
a whole lot. We're not saying people can't stop. That's why we're even bringing this program and saying prevent it. Don't even abuse it.
Most people can stop. Sometimes it's for life.
Another thing, people from surgeries.
Yes, from medical conditions.
Yes,
generally.
from medical conditions. They just okay, you're giving diclofenac and cotaflam and the rest of them. It's just to help with your pains. And then I've had a situation where someone says, okay, now I just did it, I can't stay without it, the pain is excruciating. And you're like, but the doctor prescribed for just a week, and that is okay. The pain will definitely phase out. But no, nobody wants to feel that little pinch again. Everybody just wants to go away from reality.
So, I mean, this little discussion now will take us right into the next topic, which we're talking about risk factors.
Yes.
So what are some of the risk factors? Because I believe that some things must trigger this. That initial one time something must have triggered. So what are the
you more predisposed to start?
Yeah. So what are some of the risk factors that contribute to drug abuse?
I will start with ignorance, because for younger or even older people, if only they knew what they were going into, they wouldn't start.
Yes.
So someone invites you to a party and you are giving something you don't know,
Brownies.
and you're trying it out, you know, and they make some concoctions, they call it punch. There are tablets in there, tramadol, there's Indian hemp, how could you drink something that you don't know? Even alcohol people drink. Some people choose beer, they say, I don't go beyond beer. Some others are saying, yes, I'm a strong man, I drink whiskey. So how can you be drinking a punch that you don't know what is inside?
I don't even know the constituents.
And even the alcohol she mentioned, I mean, I think people don't realize alcohol is actually a drug in itself.
Yes, it is.
It's a drug in itself. Even
It affects your CNS.
Exactly.
Yes,
it affects
the
your
drug
body.
of withdrawal. It is.
Exactly. So you were saying.
So we're talking about ignorance, stress. Stress is a predisposing factor. Someone could say, I have HIV, and a friend introduced me to this drug to make me feel better. Some other teenager, I saw it on one website. She was asked how she got into it on this www.drugabuse.gov, the Nigeria Institute of Health of the USA. They have so many nice videos for children. One of these videos tells us that a teenager said she broke up with her boyfriend. She was so upset, and another girl offered her a tablet to feel better, and now she's hooked on drugs, and it's a problem. So stress, ignorance, idleness. There was a survey sometime in Lagos, like 2019, and that survey informed us that many youths say idleness and unemployment led them into drugs. They just take this particular drug and sleep all day and forget that they don't have food to eat. Even the deceptive advertisements, you know, alcohol is advertised on billboards, they make it look like you're a hero. Different brands have their own, you know, and the young ones too are looking. And then in the movies too, we see all kinds of adverts. You see a guy wearing a beautiful suit and he's with a cigar. And a young person may think the cigar is what makes him look composed and
and all that.
They don't talk about the lung diseases he's predisposed to. They don't talk about, you know, other cardiovascular risks when people are drinking in those glass bottles that look attractive. So deceptive advertisements is part of it. That's about it.
So what of do you think of like family, your background, does it play a role?
Oh, definitely. Some people grow up in homes where maybe both parents drink, but amazing, the children are not allowed to go near alcohol. And unfortunately, in some other scenarios, a child as young as 8 will be sent to go and buy alcohol, you know, go and buy me a bottle of this. So how do you know if it's his dad that sent him or if he's coming on his own, you know? I know that in some countries you can't buy alcohol if you're underage.
Yes.
Yeah, because underage drinking, 21 years and below, you're underage, you shouldn't drink. You know, so the background we come from sometimes affects. Yeah, and that's why parents have to be up and doing. If you're an adult, your brain has developed because the human brain keeps developing until you're 25 years. So if you're an adult and you're drinking, you have a job, you're drinking, your children haven't finished passing their exams. The brain is still developing. If they toy with alcohol and drugs, it will affect them. Some of them may not graduate. I mean, it's science.
Yeah.
I used to hear my parents whenever I'm going back to the school when I was in university, don't drink or you fail all your exams. But it was later I correlated it. It's
What they
science, you know.
actually meant.
It affects a part of your brain, the frontal cortex that's involved in decision making.
Yeah.
So how can you remember what you read? You can't. So your grades will be poorer, and unfortunately some people don't make it. They drop out of school because of these habits.
And yes, some people actually, it's not just because we're doing a program and we're trying to scare people. People actually drop
It's a
out.
reality.
People
They
drop
can't
out. You
continue.
see some youths on the road, some girls, you know, people drop out.
They can't pass those major exams.
Yes.
SSC, jump, they can't make their papers. So children,
You see a child who used to have good grades and all of a sudden it just
There's a
starts
downturn.
something is wrong.
dropping. You know, it's not about changing the school most times.
No.
You know, it's about getting to the root of the problem.
Yes, and if they are informed early, you know, most of them won't even try it.
And then parents should actually be friends to their children.
Yeah. If you're not a friend, they don't listen to you.
To you.
They don't even tell you their gist. And you know, that friendship should start when they're
Very
toddlers.
little.
But when the 1-year-old, 2-year-old comes back from school and she's trying to tell you something, you are too busy to listen.
To even listen.
You just have to listen. And even when they're 10 years old, they still tell you their gist. Then you just know that yes, you're really the super parent. I know one of my children, when he was just in primary 4, he told me he has seen the girl he wants to get married in his class.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
I felt like a hero that day. And I tried to convince him that don't worry, when you get to university, you may change your
know
mind. He
better.
said
No, it's that one.
So I had to follow,
Him up.
and I didn't tell his dad because it's our gist.
Yes. It is.
And now they've all gone to different schools. They don't even
They have
remember.
forgotten each other.
You have to be their friend. If not, when they get to teenage, you won't know what is going on.
God, they'll look for a friend
Yeah.
out there.
But when you're their friend, they tell you their parents and remind your children when you have a problem, go to the right person. Sometimes
Yes,
they may not
yes.
come to a parent,
Yes.
but they should go to the
The
right
right
person.
person.
That's a powerful piece of
Advice,
advice,
The right
actually.
person to talk to.
So let's now talk about the commonly abused drugs. I think you've mentioned some earlier. So what are some of the commonly abused drugs and how they are accessed or how they are sourced?
Yeah, drug trafficking is a multi-million-dollar business.
It is.
It's a global issue.
It's a
We
cartel
have-
issue, self.
We have NDLA in Nigeria. We have the
Doing a
DEA
lot,
in the
trying
US.
a
They're
lot.
trying a lot. I mean, they even have agents in other countries,
Yes.
and because of the money these people traffickers make, they also have a lot of protection. They are
Yeah.
well armed. They
Yes.
have mafias, and no wonder all these things, even the synthetic drugs, are
Mostly.
available. Yeah. I heard of a case that some of the people synthesizing cocaine sometimes mix it with glass. You can imagine. So when you're
Fragments.
taking that cocaine, some broken
Fragments.
glass is getting into your system.
Wow.
So you don't know the damage. They're just adulterating it to make more money.
Yeah.
So this drug trafficking is a serious issue, and somehow, do you know that is very cheap? Because sometimes we had a workshop in Abuja with an NGO, and some drug users, some of them are even students of University of Abuja, some of them opened up to us and said it's very easy to get Indian hemp, even in Wuse Zone 2. If I want it, I know where to go.
Yeah.
They say some of these malam that sell pure water and coke, they have it. But unless you know it,
You know
you
the
will
places
not get
to go
it.
to.
They know where to get it. Very cheap. And even when they don't have money, their friends that use drugs will give them.
Yeah.
So
It's terrible.
And I
it's
think
very
as the
accessible
friends
somehow.
even giving them, I mean, you always have. That's when it will now spill into other vices. You're
Yeah.
trying to steal to buy those things.
Those things.
You see money, oh, okay, I have to take this because I need to get
Because you just need to get
to
high.
high.
Yeah, so actually, unfortunately, there are all kinds of nooks and corners where,
To get this thing.
yes, but the illicit drugs, the abuse, like prescription medicines, like tramadol tablets, which you can't get
hear
without
them
a
being
prescription.
seized every
But
day.
somehow, but then our agencies are working, and they keep arresting people. Even the transporters have been well educated. They educate them from time to time. Even this bus transport, this interstate,
Yeah.
if you are caught transporting drugs, you'll be arrested.
And there are a lot of
So,
plants also people have
public
been
enlightenment.
abusing
Mhm.
that the government is not even yet in the know.
Yes.
There are a lot that
Mm.
are stronger than you can even tell.
And you even hear weird combinations every day about combinations of drug that people take, and it makes you wonder
Who even came
thought
with
about
that?
this?
I'm telling you.
How did
Who
this?
came with that?
So I mean, so there was a time I used to work. I used to work in a particular place, and we sell drugs and all of that. And one of the drugs that we noticed at some point that some people come with prescriptions, but the prescriptions became very frequent. Was pregabalin.
Okay.
And at some point, we had to ask, like, what is going on exactly? Because, we'll go to market this week, we're stocking up on this, and by next week, we're running out and we're looking. So, it was quite
Going too fast.
fast, exactly. So, we had to suspect that something was fishy.
Was
And
wrong.
this is something that you would normally not, your mind wouldn't go to. But someone must have sat down at a place, probably tried this, or tried maybe, let's say, I'll take, instead of taking one tablet, let me take two. And the person gets a euphoric feeling. I'm like, okay, I like this feeling. And then it continues that way.
The consumption was just too much on his bike. So like you both said, once a user has money, it seems so easy to get these drugs, unfortunately. And that's why when you want to help them, you try to starve them of funds, because once they have money, they go and find this drug they're abusing. And even when they don't have money, they pick all kinds of things around their roommates, and their valuables are not safe. Their family, theft everywhere. Some people steal their parents' jewelry just because they want to go buy drugs.
Yeah.
So that's how they get it going.
So we'll be going on a short break right now, and we've talked about a lot,
Yes.
and it has been quite an informative session. But right now we're going on a short break. Don't forget our phone lines are open, and the number once again is 081 084 475 18. I'll take that again, 081 084 475 18. You can call in, you can send me your messages and also your WhatsApp messages, and we'll be glad to hear from you. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Healthier You on Radio Maria 91.3 FM, the voice of truth, with your hosts Stephanie and Ekene. If you're just joining us, before the break, we're discussing prevention of drug abuse with our guest, Ambassador Yvonne Ekene. She's a pharmacist with 16 years experience, and she's passionate about drug and substance abuse and prevention. And thus far, we have talked about
The risk factors that contribute to drug abuse. We actually define drug abuse as the use of illicit drugs or chemicals that can affect the body. Okay, we talked about drug misuse and drug abuse. We said drug misuse is when you use your drugs wrongly, as when prescribed by the physician. Maybe you use it more than the days you're supposed to use it, or the times you're supposed to use it, or the dosage you're supposed to take. And then we talked about drug abuse. That's basically what we're talking about today, which is illicit drugs, okay? And then we talked about the risk factors. We said what contributes to the factors. Yeah, ignorance. Somebody is not aware that, okay, this thing is actually when you go to parties, they are laced and all that. People are not aware of these situations. So these are, and then you take it today, you go to a party tomorrow again, and then you take it. Okay, so ignorant factors. And you even find some people who take same drug, they just pack it up and they don't know. Let me take an example. Then there was an elderly man. He had serious pains, okay? So he will call this doctor that will prescribe diazepam. He will call the other one that will give him cataflam. He will call the other one. So he called like 4 doctors, and they gave him 4 different drugs. And he didn't tell them,
I've spoken to someone.
I've spoken to this doctor.
There may be duplication.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. So he ends up taking the 4 of them at a go.
And let's not even talk about, aside the whole issue of drug abuse, let's not talk about the likelihood of interaction.
Yes,
which
drug
may
interaction. So he takes it all at once. Like, okay, the different doctors prescribed, and by the time I got it, I was like, what is this? He said, no, is this one that prescribed this one? I said, did you tell this one you already take? He said, no, we just told them pain. I said, you see the problem, they are all doing the same thing. So this is part of what we're talking about, the ignorance and all that, okay? And then she talked about stress, which is mostly maybe from medical conditions and all that, okay? You could be tired, wear out, even people who are in a lot of pain because of their medical conditions and all that. And then she also talked about idleness, people who are just around, and like she said, a lot of youths who complain they have nothing doing and they just take it to sleep off and forget about their sorrows and all that. And then she said deceptive adverts. You see people who are cool using that same substance, and then you just want to imitate them and be like them.
We also have a genetic predisposition.
Okay.
Some people just genetically are more prone to fall victim of being addicts. Like, look at alcohol, for instance. If 5 people try out alcohol for the first time, everybody took 3 bottles. Yeah. Some people may remain standing, one person may fall down. So there's a genetic factor involved in drug abuse.
Oh, wow, that's an interesting aspect.
Which we have no control
over. Exactly, and considering that we're actually in this part of the world, we have a large percentage of drug abusers, especially even alcohol, because
Yes.
it seems to be something of recreation.
It's a
and
recreation thing. How many bottles can you take?
And-
Name it, you know. It's most
and it's
times
also a
people
thing
take
of
it to
ego
be
too,
yeah.
exactly.
How many can you take? Like somebody takes you out on a Sunday evening and is like, oh guy, make we come out, and like, what till you fit drink? You know, you what till you fit drink, and like, you want to try me, oh yeah. And before you know it, somebody is downing 5 bottles just because he wants to make a
Binge
statement.
drinking,
And
yes.
then you find the other person trying to push you to take more because he too wants to make a statement. That
And one
okay, you
person
came to my
falls
house
down.
and you get drunk. You know, it's like there's a party going on, and if people are not drunk in the party, then your party
they've
not
started.
try. You understand? So these are the influences, the factors we're talking about that actually contribute to it. If you're just joining us, please again, we'll say the phone lines are open. It's 081 084 47518. I repeat, 081 084 47518. Please send in your calls, your SMSs, your WhatsApp. Tell us your experiences. Let people who are listening learn from your experiences. Get your contribution so that you can also inspire others.
So, following our discussion, can we now talk about the detrimental effects of drug abuse on the abuser? I mean, I want to believe that it has an effect on the abuser themselves,
Definitely.
on the family, and even on the society at large. So let's take it one at a time. What are the deleterious effects of drug abuse
So
on the
those
abuser?
detrimental effects, I prefer to start with the family and the society
Okay.
because I see them as fewer than on the main abuser. And we don't call them abusers any longer. In global best practice, we call them somebody with a drug use disorder. Because there's a lot of stigma attached when you say he's a drug addict or somebody's daughter is a drug addict or a drunkie or a junkie. You know, people don't like to hear that. So we don't want to stigmatize them or their families. We want to make recovery easier for them. We call them people with drug use disorders. So the deleterious effects on the family. I mean, in this part of the world, how many rehabilitation centers do we have? We don't have so many yet. So
Even the ones we have, they're very expensive.
they're very expensive, and that's what the youth need to know.
Yes, a common man can't just access
You need to
it.
deposit millions to drop
Millions,
somebody,
yes.
one person there. And so there's a lot of stigma. If you go to the hospitals, for instance, you have someone with such a condition, you end up in the psychiatric section, and most people don't like going there. So do you know that some families, because of that, they won't even take the victim to
anywhere.
hospital? So the family
They
suffers
look
a
for
lot.
prayers.
The stealing, when that person starts experiencing withdrawal syndromes and he wants to get that substance or that drug, by all means, he steals. The things in the parlor start getting missing, jewelry, money. I mean, you may be in your house with your own child, but you are not safe. You know, it's unfortunate. So it's a lot of stress and a lot of financial loss on the family. And this disease is not like malaria that you take your medicine and you get well after 1 week.
Yeah.
Some people don't ever get better. They get better today, tomorrow they go back
They
to the
fall
drug.
back into
You know, so it's a lot of stress on the families too that keep trying to provide support. Okay, who is so unemployed now that instead of going to his job every day has to stay at home to be watching over a family member so that person
does not take.
It's a 24-hour job, you know. So there's a lot on your family. And other people will say, stay away from this person, especially if it's a young person that has a drug use disorder. They say, don't play with that boy. He abuses drugs. I don't want you to be like him. So it's a lot of stigma on the family. And on the society, whether it's adults that are doing drugs or children, decrease in productivity, more cases of school dropouts, increase in crimes and violence, more rape cases. I mean, the list is endless, because in most crimes the perpetrators use drugs, you know, to be that bold to do all those things. Yes. And now the effects on the abusers, there are so many. I will start with addiction and tolerance. So when you start misusing prescription medicines, or even the illicit drugs like cocaine, a little dose may elicit the effect that you desire, and with time you need a larger dose to get the same effect. So it's an upward hill,
Yeah.
so
Keep going higher.
you keep going higher, and then when you don't take it, you start shivering, or there are all kinds of symptoms depending on the substance involved. You start shivering, they get uncomfortable, they get sick. That's why they really go out to look for it. It's a compulsive thing, because those centrally acting drugs, they work on your frontal cortex. They prevent your brain from taking proper decisions. For instance, a normal healthy person, if I don't want to eat mango, I don't want to eat mango. I don't go out to buy mango every day. But then the substance prevents you from making these decisions. So compulsively, you're going out every day to buy that drug. It's a terrible thing. And you can see that it's a psychological, it's a spiritual disease, it's a terrible disease. It's a terrible drug use disorder that you shouldn't get into. And the effects, like I said, there are many. Some people experience hallucinations depending on the pharmacology and the toxicological effects of that drug. Hallucinations, in the case of alcohol, the pupils become dilated. That's why they can actually test you and confirm. And changes in appetite or sleep pattern. Some of them at some point don't even look for food. They don't need food. You can imagine. So it affects their health. So they don't even look healthy because they don't eat well. They don't eat right. They are unkempt, physical appearance, lack of concentration. That's why when you're talking about a worker or a student, you can't concentrate properly at work or in school. Loss of self-control, aggressiveness. When you see somebody in the office that can be so aggressive that can insult the boss, sometimes
there's
a question
something driving you.
So you have impaired judgment, and so on and so forth. And cardiovascular diseases, heart attack can also be one of the consequences. Lung infections, bronchitis, skin diseases, gum diseases, and bad breath, like you can associate with tobacco products. Cancer, fatal road accidents, of course, when people are driving under the influence of alcohol and all those other sedatives and tranquilizers. What do you expect? So we can have more fatal accidents and harm to roommates and family members and spouses. Some of the depressants, like the sedatives, like for instance diazepam tablets, the popular Valium, when abused, can cause sleepiness, confusion, slurred speech, memory loss, even breathing problems, and sometimes even death. Because you can imagine sedation is a process. So then if you're overdosed, it can sedate you to the point of
Death.
Yes, even you can't breathe any longer and your heart stops working. So we don't want that.
That's a long list of effects. A really long list of effects. So now let's talk about, the topic of the day, as we said earlier, was is prevention of drug and substance abuse. So now let's narrow in on that. What are the preventive and also the protective measures to curb drug abuse?
So now, preventive measures. Like I said in the beginning, prevention is key. Knowledge is power. So the adults and even especially the youth need to be well informed about the implications of trying out this kind of risky habit of abusing prescription medicines or illicit drugs in whatever form, be it like sometimes people add Indian hemp to groundnut cake, to some snacks. It can come in different form, to pepper soup.
So.
I'm telling you. So in whatever form, be it as a food additive or as a medicine or
as an experiment. Let me see how it is. Don't even try. Don't even start.
Yes, because treatment it can take forever.
That's why they say prevention is better
than cure here. And we're talking about prevention now, prevention, and that is why schools, parents have to keep talking. Big sisters and big brothers, aunties and uncles, you can't forget to talk about drugs to your younger ones. Don't assume they know. And in this age, you have to direct them. Go to this site, www.unodc.org. Let them go and read it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's when they believe it more. Go to www.drugabuse.gov. That's why I said we have so many children tailored materials, videos, short videos. www.drugabuse.gov. Short videos that tell you people's experiences, life experiences, how they got into
ERO experiences.
how they got into drug addiction and why no one else should try it out. And so parents, of course, must win their children's trust to be able to speak to them about things like this. If not, it's one thing to talk, it's another thing for the other person to even be listening. And we must point out clearly what drug abuse can cause. It can cause a failed career, it can cause you to lose your job, it can cause addiction, which is a very serious disease, a brain disease. It can cause even crime, clouded judgment, sexually transmitted diseases, because under the influence of drugs, people don't think well. You know, your brain is involved here, your central cortex, and they engage in sex. They go to wild parties. You can imagine, you don't even know who is organizing a party, and you just go there
on the move.
And people are there. Some of them are having unprotected sex and so on. And so you find out that most people that have HIV/AIDS also have a drug use disorder. Those two things, HIV and drug abuse, they go hand in hand. I also want to add that from the UNODC Global Report of June 2022, it was clearly said that 50% out of the 11.2 million people that are using drugs, 50% of them are living with hepatitis C. That's another sexually transmitted disease. So the report tells us that 11.2 million people worldwide are injecting drugs. You know, there's some drugs they inject, like pentazocine, and 50% of these are living with hepatitis C. And do you know that 1.2 million of them were living with both HIV and hepatitis C? So they share needles, they do all kinds of careless things. So prevention is key, like we were saying. And we're still talking on prevention. We're talking about the support system that they need. At a point, they need treatment, of course. Once you discover someone has a drug use-related disorder, you should seek medical help. Yeah, there are some antidotes that may be prescribed, like naloxone, depending on the substance of abuse
And the stage of abuse.
and the stage. Yes. So you need to seek medical treatment. A strong family support system is very important, and the treatment, like I said, is a long term. They need prayers. You need to pray for them. You need to support them, not to stigmatize them. And with God, all things are possible anyway. But prevention is better than cure.
But let's all narrow in on the family, because I mean, I think it's, as you said earlier, that's one of the reasons why we changed from using the term abusers to people living with drug use disorder. So I think you need to emphasize on how important it is the family, the important role the family plays in your recovery process, because it's quite easy to. It can be exhausting.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, especially when you've been at this for a long time, you've been trying, and it's exhausting for the person. So it's easy to back out, to give up. But I think that's like an overdrive, because it's going to push them further. Because that feeling of rejection and not having
the support is a rate limiting step for their recovery. So if the support system falls, how do we expect them to recover?
We know how tiring it can be, but we're still calling on people who have those that they are managing to just keep striving and keep trying. We know it can be very tiring, can be very exhausting, but you can't just give up.
It's also a case of the rehabilitation centers. And sometimes you just think of what can possibly be done to make it more accessible
They are not even accessible, because it's just a very few set of people that can access it.
Yes.
And they are very expensive.
Okay, because of the cost.
Yes, on my research, I found out that there are some they pay as far as millions a month.
A month?
A month, and then they give you a stretch of like 1 year. So to rehabilitate someone, you're finding out that they have centers here in Abuja, and
So
that
there's one in Gwarimpa.
yes, I have this
Melville Health.
and then you find out that to rehabilitate somebody, you're paying as much as 20 to 30 million just to do that. To just tell somebody, please don't take this again. So this is how serious it can be. We need to curb it from the beginning part.
Because it's too expensive to
It
treat.
is, very, very. That's why you find out some people just give up.
Exactly.
Just give up.
And for young people that are in school, we don't even have juvenile centers where they can be attending school while being
doing all
rehabilitated.
that.
So how do you handle that? So they end up leaving school for a while.
Wow. And then
It's just not worth it.
And then another thing is the society, like she said, you see the whole celebrity thing. It has become like a celebrity thing, and okay, it's how well you're able to show what you do. And music is not helping. The films are not helping. You have songs about it. This is what it is,
Yeah.
and then everybody
Let's
okay
not
because
call names.
no, we're not because it's their stars, and
Yeah.
they just feel they're into it, and they have a movement. Everybody wants to key into that. So these are the societal influences that are not even helping. But I think what we should keep telling people is that you should know yourself.
Yeah, but I'm happy to notice that some movies now, because the global world has been enlightened. Some movies are even trying to show us the danger of drug abuse.
Yeah.
So some artists have started putting up relevant
yes.
content.
As much as some are trying to bring it down, some are trying to actually
Awareness
remedy.
increasing.
Yes. It's not an easy strive, but we'll keep trying. We'll keep trying.
Yeah, just like five points, takeaway points. So people should watch their friends closely and say no to any funny offers of drugs. Have the courage to say no and protect yourself from such risks of getting involved in drug or substance abuse. Do not attend just any party where you don't know about the organization, and underage drinking can ruin your career. Alcoholism clearly has been shown to cause poor grades because of the effect of alcohol on the human brain. Binge drinking, that's when you drink more than 5 drinks in one sitting, has all kinds of consequences on your health. Life is not a competition
at all.
There's no point doing that. Girls should be aware of date rape and of having drinks that are not NAFDAC registered. All those punches, you don't know what they contain. So everybody should be able to choose wisely what he drinks at such parties and social events, to avoid being coerced into tasting substances of abuse. Thank you.
Wow, Ekene,
It has been an informative session.
very, very informative. And I think all what we've been saying is, please, as much as possible, don't find yourself using. Find a way not to be involved. You must not be involved.
You must not experience
You
everything.
must not experience everything.
I think that's
Why
very
not
important.
just go and experience how to be a career-driven person?
Yes.
Okay, the time you used to want to flow among those taking drugs, use it to flow among those climbing higher on their career ladder.
And I'll tell the younger ones, children, like my Bible tells me, obey your parents, for this is right in the Lord. Ephesians 6 verse 1.
Z
So
generation.
all this advice, if you obey it, you can't fall victim.
I hope they are listening to us. Okay, so we've had a long day, and we'll just go through what we've had for today. We talked about the definition of drug abuse. We said the risk factors involve ignorance, stress, idleness, when you have nothing doing and you just want to get away from the whole world. Okay, you must not take drugs to get away from the whole world. You can actually go on your computer and think of what you can do to make yourself better. It's not when you come out of that this in drug world, you will still face the reality. So we're saying that drug is not the way out of your stress. It's not the way out of your problems. It's just compounding to your problems. And then we said, what are the detrimental effects? We said that family, society stress, the stress on the family and society, what they have to go through to deal with the disorder. And we also said that the effects on the abusers, we have addiction, the person can't do without that particular thing, it goes to every length, he wants to steal, these vices, social vices, for the women, they do a lot, the men, they do a lot. You can also experience hallucinations, like you just see and start seeing things you're not supposed to see, okay? And then a lot of detrimental effects. And then when you go to the health implications, you have cardiovascular diseases, you have respiratory issues, the lungs, cancer, you have skin diseases, you have road accidents, of course, like we said, somebody who has used enough and enters the road, you know what that means. And I know in those parts of the world, we should start doing a lot to actually check toxicity of drivers, because you see some people who drive on the road
under the influence.
They're under the influence and they just do rubbish, okay? And then, of course, like we said, all this can actually lead to death. So please, we don't want premature death. It's not just enough to pray. We have to walk around not having premature deaths around us. And then we say, how can we prevent this? Parents should be aware of their children, be friends to your children, and also even you who is a child, make your decisions rightly. Choose where and which group to belong to. When you see things that you don't know, don't involve, don't take. You mustn't be to every party. Like she said, it's not, if you want to dance, play music in your room and dance.
And also learn how to say no.
Yes, say no to
have
things
the courage
that,
to say no.
So we've talked about a lot, and know your circle of friends, know where you enter, know where you go to. And I'm sure by the time you do your own, be knowledgeable. Go online. We have websites that can enlighten us more on drug use. We have the www.drugabuse.gov. We have unodc.org. Okay, if you don't have anything doing, browse and see the drugs of abuse. We have a lot these days, cracks, mkpurumiri, and the rest of them. Okay, so we just need to go online and see their effects. Okay, somebody is telling you, oh, cough, so it's just a cough syrup, now just drink. You should know what exactly is the detrimental effect. So this is what we've been talking about today, and we hope you've enjoyed our program and you've followed us right on it.
And that's all we have for you guys today on the show. And thank you once more, Ambassador Yvonne Ikede, a pharmacist with 16 years professional experience and is passionate about drug and substance abuse. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you too.
Let's not forget, Healthier You broadcasts every Tuesday at 4 p.m. on Radio Maria 91.3 FM. We all hope to have you tune in next week for another exciting episode. And please stay tuned to Radio Maria 91.3 FM. Child Protection with Mary Angela comes up next. According to Robert Downey Jr., he says, remember, just because you hit rock bottom doesn't mean you have to stay there.
Keep fighting
and get the courage to stand up over and over. From Stephanie and I, we say, do have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.